past of America has many people that have contributed to society that we see today. My name is Esteban Villarreal, and I will be discussing the great 17th century philosopher John Locke, with my primary sources information coming from Sahakeen William S. and Mabel Lewis Sahakeen, John Locke, Twain, 1975. With this information, I will show how John Locke indirectly influenced American democracy ideologies, and through his essay publications created a new era of thought that had a great impact on the Enlightenment period. On the 29th of August, in the town of Ringington, England, a boy by the name of John Locke was born. Birthed by his mother, Angus Kinney, and named after his father, John Locke. Locke was an elder of two brothers, with the death of his younger brother occurring at an early age. At the age of just 14, he enrolled in Westminster School with the help of his father's friend, Colonel Alexander Popham, being the required man of influence, sponsoring young Locke per requirement. His focus was on Greek and Latin studies, and within just 1 year rose and earned the title of King's Scholar. After 6 years at Westminster and retaining the title of King's Scholar, he became free of tuition and residency fees and was granted an annual allowance to attend Oxford University. In February 1656, he received his bachelor's degree, and in 1659, he received his master's degree. Locke studied logic, moral philosophy, grammar, and geometry, just to name a few. But it was grammar taught by John Wallis that struck Locke's interest, when he extended geometry into logic, music, mechanics, leading to Locke saying, "Arithmetic is the easiest and consequently the first sort of abstract reasoning which the mind commonly bears or accustoms itself to." Locke's first main adoption and influence derived from the French philosopher Descartes, with both of them enamored of mathematics. Their approach was a method of skepticism that refused to accept prevailing dogma and other influences. It was this approach that Locke formed his empiristic philosophy on what he found in consciousness and in experience. He believed there are simple ideas that come from one's experience or reflections, and then there are complex ideas that compare and combine those simple ideas. Stating true knowledge discloses the relationship between ideas and reality. Locke was a traveling man. He left England in 1655 as a secretary in a diplomatic mission. In 1666, he returned to England to study medicine and successfully treated and cured a man in London. He received his bachelor's of medicine in 1674. In 1668, he was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society and gained interest in economic fighting the belief that usury was wrong. Locke would be considered a Whig of his time. Locke would bounce from France to London until he arrived back in England in 1679. Because of his long relationship with friend Shaftesbury, he was eventually expelled from Oxford and was forced to leave the country and seek exile in Holland, where they would seek his extradition on the belief that he was a traitor. It was after these events that he would refocus on philosophy before he returned back to England in 1689 and reestablish his basis until the death in 1704. John Locke was arguably the single most influencer of the 17th century, with publications of his work ranging from the basis of knowledge, aspects of education, political ideologies, and the nature of human rights. John Locke had an utmost of 15 different publications, with 4 of them being considered major works. I believe to be the most interesting is the fact that an English philosopher gave inspiration to an original Declaration framer, Thomas Jefferson, when he was in the process of drafting the document. Locke had written an essay pertaining to the political field and government itself. It was called the Second Treatise of Government. Locke would become known as the founder of liberalism, and this essay would be a factor of that, with emphasis being that the government should have limited power over the people and raise awareness in individual rights should occur. During this essay, he states how the government's duty is to protect the rights of the people, which Locke believed to be life, liberty, and property. Many are not even aware of the influences Locke provided to the idea of the Declaration. Locke would also become known as one of the major influences of the Enlightenment period, which consisted of applying reason, understanding, and insight to the intellectual mind and promoting individualism rather than tradition. This resulted in major contribution Locke provided with his work on epistemology or empiricism, which would later be termed coin. This is a theory that all knowledge is created as a result of sensory experience, with Descartes providing the basis of questioning Aristotelian and what Locke saw as medieval philosophy from Oxford, and Cartesian thesis that believed "I think, therefore I am," Descartes concluded in disagreement out of nothing comes nothing, believing some ideas are to be innate, others adventitious, and others to be made by myself. Locke's theory found its way into the philosophy of education, with supporting the work of Sigmund Freud by stating that the mind as a tabula rasa, or a blank tablet, which established the ideas of forming empiricism. John Locke changed what would be seen as normal thinking and gave inspiration to future enlighteners. Why should